show when you aired the first 6 episodes, was it a success
No.
in the US?
No.
No?
Not at all. It did okay. It did well enough for us to get a pickup for a second season. But really the show didn't take off till about third season, fourth season. Then it really really started to grow and do its thing. But also what's really interesting is the show was never as popular when we were actually airing
Okay.
as it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We never felt like we were on a successful hit TV show while we were shooting. We wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't get recognized as much as I do now. I wouldn't get people. People. The way that they talk about the show now,
Yeah.
is that it's one of the greatest shows of all time. I mean, the past 10 years. I mean, that show is the best show, and we grew up on it, and all this and that. And they know all the characters and the references and the jokes and the sayings and all the quotes and everything. And it's just completely different. It's taken on a life of its own now. It was never. We never felt like we were on a hit TV show, where now I feel like we were on Friends or something.
In my experience in Mexico, it was a really big show.
Yeah, I mean, even
I probably watched all the episodes of Drake and Josh when I was young. So it was a really big show here in Mexico.
Yeah, so it's interesting seeing what it's turned into.
I don't know how much delay was from the first time they aired in Mexico to the first time they aired.
Well, that's
in the
where
US.
we've gotten much more popular on the reruns of the show than when we actually aired for the first time.
Why do you think that happened? Was it ahead of its time?
Maybe it was ahead of its time. I don't have an answer for that. It's sort of it's just an anomaly. I really don't know. It just kind of caught fire and connected with people and I don't know what. I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
That's one of those crazy questions that I've always asked myself is, at what point did this turn into this cult classic from just being one of the other kids shows on Nickelodeon,
I think, because I was thinking about this before you came here, I think because the premise of the show is these two brothers meet because their one dad marries the mom of the other brother. And if you analyze like the communication or the rhetoric in the divorce situations in the early 2000s against now, it has changed drastically. So many people felt identified with the series because it portrayed their situation really accurately. I actually remember, I'm a huge Blink-182 fan, and I remember this song, Stay Together for the Kids, which talks about divorce, but the communications is completely different to what to today.
Totally. I think I've had a lot of families come up and say, we're a blended family, and it was so difficult for me to connect to my stepson or we got this whole new family moving in, but we would all sit down and watch Drake and Josh and be like, oh, hey, this could work. And
it was a really good portrayal of not a nuclear family,
right?
Which is the conception that we had in TV like in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. I've never really thought about it that way, but
but I actually compared to this Blink-182 songs because it was released around the same day the Drake and Josh was airing. Yeah, but it was a huge success in retrospective, and I didn't know that it was not as big when you aired in the US.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it did get big in the US later, but just when we were actually shooting the show and it was airing, I mean, we were just kids going to work. It wasn't, we didn't have this feeling of, and we weren't on a network show getting paid like, Malcolm in the Middle, hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s an episode, and then all of a sudden $1 million an episode, and then getting residuals and all of that. So we never got to feel like TV stars.
Okay. And your experience shooting the show was really good?
Yeah, I mean, I loved shooting Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh was a lot of fun. Obviously, every show or every job where you're together with somebody, and when you're working on a television show, I mean, you're doing 12-hour days. You're together all of the time. So there's definitely ups and downs in relationships and things like that. But as a whole, looking back, yeah, no, it was a great time. It was a lot of fun. I was doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
I was making people laugh and getting a new script every week, and but also it was kind of difficult to navigate being a teenager and being young and having so much responsibility at such a young age.
Were you studying or did you drop out of school?
I mean, if you want to call it studying, they make you go to school on set, but it's not really
It's like homeschool.
Yeah,
kinda.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just stuff to fill up the time so that you can turn it into the unions and say, oh yeah, look, the kids are going to school. But no, there wasn't really much of that going on. But yeah, that I think was the tough part was, for example, everyone's like, oh, you got to be a good role model. You're on a TV show for young people and you have to be a good role model. And I'm like, I didn't sign up to be a good role model. I'm like, I'm a teenager. I just got my driver's license. I'm gonna go wild and crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Be a good. Wait, now I have to be a good. Like, wait, I just wanted to go to work and say my lines and make people laugh and all this, and now I'm being judged because I make a mistake or because I do everything every other teenager on the planet's doing. But it's different because I'm supposed to be a good role model. I'm like, where was that in the contract? Where did it say, oh, and by the way, you're signing up to be a good role model? I'm like, I don't even know what a good role model is. I've been on set acting my whole life. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to navigate through like life outside of my TV show,
Yeah, you were really young.
And I was young, and we're making not crazy amounts of money, but to an 18-year-old kid,
It's a lot, yeah.
I mean, 17-year-old kid, you're like, oh, I get this money every week? Oh, cool. But then you don't realize that you don't get it every week. You only get it when you're working. So it's only, like, if we do 6 episodes, you're only getting 6 weeks of pay. And then you have, 50 or 48, I'm terrible at math, obviously, because I didn't go to school.
46 weeks.
It's 46 weeks of no pay.
Yeah.
So you have to make that last. But when you're a kid, you're just like, what are you talking about? I'm going to buy a new car.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm gonna go move into my own apartment, and I'm gonna buy nice clothes, and I'm gonna go out to really nice dinners. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you're like, wait, I'm supposed to keep getting that, right? And then unfortunately on Drake and Josh, there were no residuals. So, whereas
Residuals
meaning every time it airs, every time it plays, the actors get paid.
Okay.
So, for example, the Friends cast make like $20 million a year each, just
from reruns,
just on residuals alone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So whereas us, they show us all over the world. They play us all the time. We're number one on Hulu. We're this, that, and we're trying to figure out how to pay the rent, and we don't see any money from any of that. There's guest stars on Drake and Josh that still get residuals, but the main cast don't. So Josh and I got paid the week we worked, and that was it.
Wow.
And so a lot of people, think, oh man, Drake Bell and Josh, like they must have been, they must be so rich right now because we see their show all the time, and they must be. And it's just not the case, unfortunately, because in kids' TV, I don't know why they could get away with this, but
they still get away with that?
And they don't have to pay residuals. So,
but it was because you were kids, or because that was the standard of the network?
I mean, I think it was both. I think that, for as a kid in Hollywood, you're so expendable that there's another kid getting off the bus wanting to do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, they got a lot of leverage.
Yeah, and they could just be like, well, we'll just get another kid. oh, well, we'll just cancel the show, make a new show. You know, like on Disney Channel, I mean, they would do 3 seasons of a show and then cancel it and be like, we have enough episodes. Next kids come in, next show, next this. One kid gives I had a friend of mine who got hurt on his show on the Disney Channel, and instead of giving him time to heal and bring the show back, they just canceled the show.
They canceled the show.
And so that just, it just pulled the rug right out from under him, and he got hurt on the show. So that's, with kids, we're just expendable. There's another one coming off the bus next week, so get out of here. And the parents will do anything, will sign anything just to get their kids on TV,